The film opens with a young woman named Katie, who is en route to her workplace in a taxi. Upon arriving, she immersed herself in assisting customers while also seeking advice from a coworker on finding a reputable photographer to refresh her modeling portfolio. However, she realizes that quality photographers come with a hefty price tag, prompting her to postpone her plans. Later, as Katie prepares to head home, she stumbles upon a brochure advertising complimentary photography services for portfolio updates. Intrigued, she takes the brochure, which includes a contact number, and heads back to her apartment. Once inside, she notices a commotion coming from her friend Jason's room. It turns out that Jason is trying to catch some pesky wild mice, and Katie lends a hand by setting traps for him. After assisting Jason, Katie returns to her own space and begins organizing food in the fridge. While doing so, she glances at her portfolio and makes the decision to reach out to the photographer, offering free services. She soon dials the number and connects with Ivan, who recognizes her name on his caller ID. He requests that she send him an original photo, prompting Katie to snap a quick selfie and forward it to him. They agree to meet up. The following day, despite the heavy snowfall, Katie makes her way to Ivan's studio. There, she encounters Ivan's younger brother, Georgie, and they exchange introductions. Shortly after, Georgie contacts Ivan, who is preoccupied with another model at the time. Upon learning that Katie has arrived, Ivan promptly wraps up his current session. In a rush to prepare for the shoot, Katie quickly changes her outfit and asks Georgie for assistance in removing her necklace. From the very first moment Georgie laid eyes on Katie, it was clear he was captivated by her presence. As the photo shoot commenced, an unexpected tension arose when Ivan suggested that Katie wear more revealing clothing. Taken aback, she firmly refused, leading to a heated argument that disrupted the atmosphere of the studio and inadvertently roused Ivan's other brother, Nikolai. Frustrated by the escalating conflict, Katie ultimately chose to halt the shoot and return to her apartment. Once home, the weight of the day overwhelmed her, and she found herself in tears, grappling with the disappointment of the situation. Later that afternoon, after a session at the gym to clear her mind, Katie was taken aback to find Georgie waiting for her at her apartment. He had brought a flash drive containing the photos from their earlier session. As she accepted the drive, she instinctively pushed him away gently, assuring him that she wasn't angry. However, Georgie's demeanor suggested otherwise. He seemed disheartened by her coldness. Despite his attempts to maintain a friendly rapport, Katie remained distant, prompting him to leave her apartment feeling rejected. Once outside, Georgie couldn't help but glance at the photos they had taken, lost in thought about their brief encounter. That evening, while Katie was taking out the trash, she inadvertently left her bedroom door ajar. After disposing of the garbage, she returned to her apartment, locked the door behind her, turned off the lights, tidied up, and prepared for bed. As she drifted into a deep sleep, an unsettling sound, a cell phone camera shutter, disturbed her slumber. Startled awake, she flicked on her nightlight only to find Georgie in her room. In a surge of fear and anger, Katie confronted him and demanded him to leave. Yet Georgie persisted in trying to communicate with her, which only fueled her rage. In a moment of desperation, she brandished a stun gun and shocked him in the face before making a frantic dash for the door. Unfortunately, Georgie swiftly caught her and pulled her back into the apartment. The struggle left him visibly shaken, and in the chaos, Katie accidentally struck her head against the floor. In a shocking turn of events, Georgie restrained Katie by tying her hands and feet. Just then, Jason knocked on the door and entered, ready to help his friend. However, as he attempted to intervene, Georgie emerged from the shadows and viciously stabbed Jason multiple times, leaving him gravely injured and plunging the situation into further chaos and horror. Then, in a moment of horrifying cruelty, Georgie inflicted something unspeakable upon Katie while Jason lay dying before them. Once he realized the gravity of his actions, a wave of panic washed over him, prompting him to call his older brothers, Ivan and Nikolai, to come to Katie's apartment. Upon their arrival, Ivan swiftly took charge of the chaotic scene. He meticulously cleaned the apartment and devised a sinister plan to frame Katie for Jason's murder by placing her fingerprints on the knife that Georgie had used. To further secure their twisted scheme, they administered an anesthetic to Katie, rendering her unconscious. As she drifted in and out of awareness, she sensed that she was being moved against her will. It soon became clear that Nikolai was also perpetrating something vile against her. Bound in handcuffs and stripped of her clothing, Katie found herself in a nightmare situation. When Georgie reappeared, he interrupted Nikolai's assault just as Katie, parched and desperate, pleaded with Georgie for a drink. Instead of compassion, Nikolai cruelly taunted her, which ignited a fierce anger in Georgie, leading to a violent confrontation between the two brothers. Their struggle was abruptly halted when Ivan intervened, commanding his brothers to retreat upstairs. He then covered Katie with a blanket before leaving her alone, still seething with rage and desperation. Overwhelmed by exhaustion and sorrow, Katie eventually succumbed to tears. Later, Ivan, Georgie, and Nikolai returned. In a shocking display of brutality, Ivan doused Katie with a bucket of water to wake her and ordered her to clean herself. When she defiantly refused, Georgie attempted to assist her, but she instinctively pushed him away, desperate to maintain some semblance of autonomy amidst the chaos. Finally, they forced Katie to ingest anesthetic to subdue her. Once she was under its influence, Georgie attempted to clean her up before leaving to find clothes for her. Seizing the moment of his absence, Katie spotted a window and quickly spat out the medicine she had swallowed, feigning sleep as Georgie returned. He removed her handcuffs and dressed her, but as soon as she was able, Katie sprang into action, attacking Georgie and knocking him unconscious. She escaped through the window, desperately trying to flag down passing cars for help, but each attempt was met with indifference. Eventually, she encountered a detective named Kirill, who took her into his car and tried to reassure her, explaining that she was in Bulgaria. This revelation shocked Katie. She had no memory of how she had arrived there. Meanwhile, back in the basement, Nikolai was taken aback to find Georgie injured and Katie missing. Later, as Katie found herself in Kirill's room, he suggested she see a doctor, but she adamantly refused, leading him to suspect that she might be under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Despite his concern, Katie insisted on going to the American embassy and rejected his assistance. Shortly after, a psychologist named Anna arrived unexpectedly. Kirill was surprised by her swift appearance and hesitant to let Katie go with her. Anna requested that Kirill speak in English to avoid raising Katie's suspicions and then signaled for him to fetch 2 cups of coffee, indicating her desire for a private conversation with Katie. In a heartfelt exchange between women, Anna managed to connect with Katie on a deeper level, ultimately persuading her to leave Kirill's care. They agreed to visit the American embassy after a brief stop at Anna's house. During the journey, Anna made a call, explaining Katie's situation and stating her intention to bring her in. Upon reaching Anna's home, she led Katie to a storage room downstairs, an unsettling revelation, as it was the very place where Katie had once been held captive. Before long, Ivan appeared, and in desperation, Katie turned to Anna for help. Instead of support, Anna lashed out, accusing Katie of harming her family before delivering a harsh slap. Ivan then joined in the cruelty, pinching Katie mercilessly. Suddenly, an older man named Valko entered the scene, wielding a taser. While Anna cranked up loud music upstairs and sat in a rocking chair cradling a doll, Valko demanded solitude with Katie. He used the taser on her, inflicting pain before leaving her weakened and bleeding. When Ivan returned, he found Katie in a pitiful state and pushed her away as she attempted to defend herself with what little strength remained. In a chilling turn of events, the 3 brothers began preparing a hidden spot for Katie within the room. As they readied to bury her alive, Ivan cruelly remarked that if Katie had been more compliant during her photoshoot in New York, perhaps this fate could have been avoided. Soon after, Nikolai stripped her of her clothing and placed her inside a coffin. Just before sealing it shut, Georgie bestowed upon her a necklace and bid her farewell. Ultimately, they concealed the coffin in darkness, leaving Katie alone to weep for her life. After some time passed, the coffin fell into a drainage ditch, and against all odds, Katie survived. Meanwhile, Georgie conspired with Anna while Ivan and Nikolai discussed their future plans, recognizing that returning to New York would be too perilous. In the sewers below, Katie fought to regain her strength and sought out clothing and food. She managed to catch something small and roasted it over makeshift flames to sustain herself. As Katie navigated the dark, damp corridors of the sewer, she stumbled upon an opening that led her to a seemingly ordinary house, which revealed itself to be a church. With a sense of urgency, she stealthily entered the kitchen and took some food to quell her hunger. Moments later, a compassionate pastor appeared, offering his assistance. However, burdened by past betrayals, Katie found it difficult to trust him. Instead of seeking her confidence, the pastor simply provided her with clothes, shoes, and a Bible to take back into the depths of the sewer. Afterward, Katie made her way through the labyrinthine tunnels until she finally emerged at the edge of a road, standing before the imposing United States Embassy building. As night fell, she returned to the church, where the pastor approached her once more, eager to connect. Yet, still wary of others, Katie chose to leave, abandoning the Bible he had given her, its pages marked with a haunting reminder of revenge. Fueled by a desire for retribution, Katie set her sights on Anna's family home. Once she ensured it was safe, she quietly slipped inside and took some of Anna's saved money. That night, she followed Nikolai to a nightclub, biding her time for the right moment. The following day, Georgie was unwinding at a cafe when a girl offered him a drink. Unbeknownst to him, It contained Katie's necklace, which he choked on moments later. Georgie's path soon led him back to the sewers in pursuit of Katie. Anticipating his arrival, she had set a trap that left him unconscious. Meanwhile, the pastor confided in Kirill about his growing concerns for Katie, sensing that she had endured great suffering and might be driven by vengeance. In the shadows of the sewer, Katie unleashed her fury on Georgie, inflicting brutal injuries to his face and body that left him bleeding profusely. She callously rubbed dirt into his wounds before leaving him to suffer. Later that night at the nightclub, Nikolai reveled in his surroundings, oblivious to the danger lurking nearby. After Katie slipped something into his drink, he quickly became disoriented and rushed to the restroom, where she lay in wait. In a swift and calculated move, Katie cornered Nikolai as he faltered from illness and attacked him mercilessly. Ultimately, he succumbed to his injuries. With her thirst for revenge momentarily quenched, Katie returned to Georgie. She silenced him with a gag, an echo of the torment he had inflicted upon her, and left him bound in despair. The following day, Katie devised a plan to lure Valko from his prayers with Anna at the church. As anticipated, he followed her out without hesitation. Seizing the opportunity, Katie struck Valko down and forced him onto a bed before subjecting him to the very electric shocks he had used against her. In a chilling act of vengeance, she shoved an iron tube into his mouth, causing severe bleeding before delivering a fatal jolt of electricity that ended his life in agony. With Valko dead, Katie returned to Georgie's lair to document his weakened state with photographs. Meanwhile, Anna arrived home to find chaos reigning in her absence. Hearing eerie singing emanating from the basement, she descended only to confront Katie, who slapped her and forcefully pushed her into the sewer below. There, Katie bound Anna tightly and placed her in a coffin, revealing Georgie's condition as a grim testament to her suffering and revenge. Ivan returned home, his heart heavy with worry as he began searching for Anna. As he descended into the basement, he was struck by the chaotic state of the house, a reflection of the turmoil that had unfolded. It was there that Ivan's gaze fell upon the music box, Katie's grave marked by a gaping hole, and the ominous entrance to the sewer. Armed and resolute, he ventured into the dark tunnels below. Meanwhile, the pastor and Kirill engaged in yet another conversation about Katie's troubling situation. The pastor, sensing urgency, led Kirill toward the sewers where Katie was believed to be hiding. In a twist of fate, Ivan stumbled upon Georgie, only to be ambushed by Katie, who knocked him unconscious. When Ivan regained consciousness, he found himself tied to a table, stripped of his clothes. In that vulnerable moment, he revealed a painful truth. Anna was not his biological mother but a woman deeply scarred by their father's betrayals, leading to the births of Nikolai and Georgie. Yet Katie remained unmoved by his confession. Instead, she turned her wrath on Georgie, inflicting torment before Anna's distraught eyes. As Georgie drew his last breath, Katie sealed Anna's coffin and redirected her fury toward Ivan. At that moment, Kirill navigated the sewers in search of Katie, unaware of the horrors unfolding. Katie unleashed her cruelty on Ivan, using pliers to inflict excruciating pain on his stomach and then targeting his most vulnerable areas. The silence between them was thick with tension until Ivan, fueled by desperation, lunged at Katie with the rope, binding her hands in a sudden act of defiance. But just as he made his move, Kirill's gunshot rang out, halting Ivan in his tracks. In a dramatic turn of events, Kirill managed to rescue Katie and offered her an apology for the chaos that had ensued. After their brief connection, Katie left Kirill behind in the sewers. Not long after, Kirill heard faint groans emanating from behind a chest. Curiosity piqued, he opened it to discover that Anna was also entangled in the web of Katie's troubled story. Meanwhile, Katie made her way to the United States Embassy, bringing this harrowing tale to a close. Thank you for watching. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps until next time. Have a nice day.